All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Secret Sauce Podcast, episode 7. All right. So what are we talking? What's our ingredient of the day, Lacey?
So today we're going to talk about how coaching's changed our lives.
Love this one. Yeah. Awesome. I think we should just seriously jump right in some story, right? I think your coaching journey, my coaching journey, and then hopefully we get people interested in jumping into some coaching. So
yeah,
let's hear your coaching journey.
Yeah, because I know we're definitely different with this. So for me, I got in coaching. I think it's been 9 years now, and I've been in the industry 22 years. So I can definitely say one of my biggest regrets was that I didn't get in coaching sooner.
Not doing it earlier. Yeah.
But knowing that, so my coaching story, kind of how that happened, was I had a business partner who wanted to get into coaching, and I didn't want to. And he kept pushing and pushing. You know, I was listening to the videos, but I had something deep inside of me that I didn't want to be all about making more money. It scared me.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, like I was scared to death of being somebody who only chased a bunch of money.
And you think that was your hang up, why you weren't?
It 100% was why I didn't want to. I wanted to be content. I was trying to wrestle with how to be content with life, how to be just really thankful and humble. And I didn't want to just go after. I felt like getting into coaching meant that I would be chasing money and that greed would come. And I was scared to death of that. And so that's just was my perception, right? It's just wherever I had come from, and chasing that. And so
what flipped the switch then for you?
Yeah. So
because you're very competitive. It's not necessarily about money,
yep.
But you're more competitive, I think, than I am.
I'm very competitive,
even.
Yeah.
So
I was on a call, and I still remember how talking to me about this. And he said he was trying to uncover what my holdback was. And so I kind of told him some of those things. And he finally said to me, he said, "Lacey, I need you to stop being so selfish." And I was a little defensive with that. And I'm like, okay. And he said, "Before you start doing all that," because he could see my face, we were on a video call. He said, "Before you start doing all that, I need you to listen." And I'm like, really ready to box the dude now. And he said, "I need you to stop making this all about you." He said, "You just have some really, really great skills and opportunity. And if you don't want it for the money, then don't take the money. Like, give it away. If it's not about the money, if that's not what you want and you make good money doing it, give it away. But stop thinking about yourself in this. You have so many more lives to impact." And I'm not meaning lives like you can help more borrowers do loans.
Sure.
I'm meaning you have more lives to impact. What if you did grow? What if you were able to hire more people, provide them with full-time jobs that can then impact their kids and send their kids to college? Like, what if? And he said, "Why don't you just stop making this all about yourself?"
I get it there. So the selfish piece was you not doing coaching, you not being willing to
grow,
go to the next level or next levels, wasn't allowing you to help literally help hire more people, provide more jobs, let them reach their goals. Love it, man.
Yeah, and when he said that to me, it smacked me real hard in the face, real hard. And I didn't have a comeback to that. Didn't know what to say to that.
Well, I think some people hear like, oh, coaching, so I'm going to take my business to the next level, that it automatically means that you're going to sacrifice family, that you're going to just grind constantly.
Right.
And I think that's maybe a reason why some people choose not to get into coaching, because
Sure.
They're like, well, I'm satisfied where I'm at.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily want to put in the extra work. And it's not, I think coaching, one thing that coaching has definitely done for me has helped me. The right coaching program will help you figure out how to do more with less time.
Absolutely.
And it involves, it's holistic. It's also how are you, the coaching that I have right now and have had for the last couple of years has been very holistic, where it's not just business, but working on personal life too.
How are you as a father? How are you as a husband?
As a wife?
Is things at home? And that piece, and I didn't realize that either when I got in, but that piece is so important. because who cares if you're super uber successful at work? If you're crappy at home, what's it all for? What's the point?
Right.
You know? And then we start learning is if things are really struggling at home, it's going to impact your work. If things are really struggling with your kids, it's going to impact at work. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been the biggest blessing ever getting into it. But that was just the initial, like, what held me back, and then why. Finally went to when I got into coaching, went to a big, mastermind or whatever, and finally decided, okay, I'm going to give it all I got. And I questioned it. I mean, I've questioned it a few times in the journey, for sure, is if this is where I'm supposed to be. And every time I do question it, I'm found, yes, this is right where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's awesome.
But, I think that when you surround yourself with people who are growth minded, they're constantly challenging you.
Mm-hmm.
And in every realm, right? Like, and really when we start finding holes where we're not so great at, and we start working on those, what happens in other areas sometimes?
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul,
yeah,
right?
So we kind of move in here. So that whole approach of just continually looking at all of it, like we have the 7 areas of life, right? That we're constantly. So yeah, when we really focus on this one, we might pull here. So we constantly are looking at those so we can just try to remain in check all the time. And I will tell you, it's so much more fulfilling. It's so much more, there's so much more joy in what I do now, because there's just so much more color. Do you remember that story that you talked about, with Wizard of Oz, and then you finally see color? Like, there's just so much more color in a career when you have coaching or mentoring that really goes alongside you. And
it's not one size fits all. It's more like one size fits one or one size fits few, because if you do kind of small group coaching, right? And I think that's the beautiful piece of small group coaching too, I think, is
sure. And there's definitely different ones out there. Like ours is small group, but it's for competitive people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're on a coaching call and you have a couple other people who I've become. I mean, some of my best friends are all around the country that I've met on these, in different areas. We're competitive, but we become, just really, really good friends through the whole process. And everybody's at different stages and points in their lives, and you really, can link arms. And I love it now, like having these, other students that are in other areas, because they see things hit their market before us or after us, and just lifelong, relationships that have been able to be built. But man, I always stop sometimes and just think, like, what would life look like had I not gotten to coaching?
Yeah. Well, I remember when you first got into coaching very well, and not to come off the wrong way, but I remember you and I were always neck and neck, but I felt like there was a while there where my business was always just slightly ahead of yours.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got into coaching and you just leapfrogged the shit out of me, and market explicit, Carson. But yeah, I remember very well. And then I'm like, all right, maybe there is something here. I don't want to take away.
No, I want to hear your story.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Were you done?
Yeah.
All right.
Share yours.
Well, I remember that very well, and it took me a little bit longer to get into it. I had always had, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to this, a very negative stigma about coaching. That coaches, it was all one size fits all, just plug in and talk about these things, but it wasn't holistic. It wasn't coming from people who had done it before, who've walked the walk. Because I've seen people who have like written books and they're just regurgitating other people, and their business is like down to nothing. They're doing nothing, or they've never done a lot and they've just become coaches because they couldn't cut it in the industry that they're in. And so I think there's definitely great coaches. There's definitely coaching programs out there that will gladly take your money. So I think be careful about that. But for me, like, I needed to get out of my own way. I needed to stop thinking that I knew it all. My ego was in the way a little bit. And, I'd been doing really well. And so some of it too is that, like, do I need to work harder? Like you said, do I need to sacrifice? So I loved getting into coaching, where knowing that they were providing me with ways to do more with less time, and they cared about my family.
Absolutely.
And I still remember my coach right now, Todd, the owner of our company, is my coach currently at the time that we're filming this. And a couple coaching calls ago, you weren't on it. And so I had him just to myself. And he said, Chad, I went to him and I said, I feel bad sometimes, like I'm not doing enough when I'm not like filling out a full greatness tracker. Like I get down on myself. Sure. And he said, Chad, I have no doubt that you could double your business and double your income right now if you wanted to, but I'm not so sure that's a good idea. And that's when you got a good coach, I think, is obviously he would make more money if I do more loans.
Yep.
But he cares enough about my home life to say, like, we can get you to a point where it's dialed in, where you're doing enough that you don't sacrifice at home.
Yep.
And we can streamline these things and we can use leverage and all of these things. And he coached me in that and just came out and said, I don't think you need to double your production, though, because he also knows, like, I want to coach people. I want to give back. I want to coach my kids' teams.
Yeah.
And so I loved hearing that. And that was, I think, I've been in coaching now for a year and a half. And that was the my eyes lit up and I was like, I'm in the right place.
So pause real quick because I want you to finish. But that same man, Todd, before I got into coaching, and this was not with our company at the time, and this was an actual coaching company, and you had to interview to get in. And in my interview, this was my first time I ever talked to him, didn't know anything about him. In my interview, he asked me how my life was at home. What time was I getting home at night? And, we both worked at the same company back then too. I mean, I was grinding and I worked late and I was hustling. And so I told him that time and he said, all right, you're going to get out a piece of paper and you're going to write a contract to your husband and your kids. And you're going to take it home and you're going to have them sign it. And I'm like, Wyatt at the time was 3 or 2, he's tiny. He goes, I don't care. He's going to sign it. And you're going to promise that I'm going to be home at this certain time. And this is how many nights I'm going to be home for dinner. And if I'm ever late, this is my penalty. And you're going to have a penalty that you're going to have to do in front of your kids. And I want you to take it home and sign it. And then I want you to text it back to me. He gave me his phone number. And I'm like, in all the companies, anywhere I've ever been, no one's ever.
It's all grind culture. How much can you work? How hard can you work?
How many loans can you do? How many loans can you do? You want more help? How many more loans can you do before you? Yeah, never. I was shocked by him saying that. And that piece of paper is framed at my house.
That's
and
awesome.
Little Wyatt's signature is written upside down. It's the cutest thing in the world. And right then, so the exact same moment, you had with him, I had with him not long ago. But he does believe if we care about the whole picture, we will do better in all realms than if we're just cared about that.
I think we should say something real quick because we haven't done this. There's loan officers listening to this podcast. There's realtors listening. You and I work for the same company and we're both at the company for the same reason, which is, I think, the coaching program and the leadership. Right? And I think we'd be remiss without saying that you and I collectively are in charge of running the Kansas City area for the company. And if you're a loan officer listening to this or watching this, and this is interesting to you, this is what our company is built on. And we would love to talk to you more about it, whether you drop us a DM or comment, reach out to us, please do, because I have not found another company that is a coaching program first and then a mortgage company second. And when the owner of the company who doesn't need to work anymore, as both of our stories tie into him coaching us individually,
it's huge.
That's what it's all about.
It is.
And I would love to share it with other people. I'm not saying that selfishly, like I want you to come work for me.
No, I agree.
I want to share what you and I have experienced with other people.
Well, you and I have searched for so long, right?
Yep.
Like we did it all by
both of our
ourselves.
lives.
We worked really, really hard. We put in all the hours. We grinded like crazy. We never had anybody say, and I still remember when I came to Summit, Todd said, what do you want to do, Lace? What do you want to do? Like, how big do you want to be? What is it you want to do? And it's embarrassing to say, but I didn't know how to answer that.
Well, I would say most people don't. Like, they don't know big.
Well, I'd never been asked.
Yeah.
I'd never been asked, never been challenged to think through that.
Right.
And even now as we go through this market, that what I want, what that story looks like changes. But I was never asked that. And so, yeah, I mean, just a huge, huge. You're right. Like we both went searching for what that looks like, and I still think like the coaching and all of that just brings the color, right? Like it brings the passion back, the love back for what we do, and the joy, because we love doing loans. I mean, I love doing loans. I still love borrowers consults. Like it's
Me
crazy to
too.
be after
Me
22
too.
years, but it's also so much more love when we get to coach other loan officers, and our loan officers get coached. You get a new coach every 6 months, so you learn all different kinds of skill sets. It's very powerful.
Yeah, I
Definitely
think
life changing.
I agree with you 100%. I think the small group coaching piece of it too, right now, is so important.
Yep.
For anybody who's not in coaching to get into some sort of a group with accountability,
Yep.
like when you're
Major.
people that are doing the same type of stuff that you can push each other a little bit, is amazing. You're in it together.
Yep.
And I think right now we all need more connection.
Yep.
Right. I think right now after COVID, everybody's at this crossroads, and a lot of people are hiding a little bit, and a lot of people are isolating, and coaching is going to get you out of that.
Yeah.
And I think, the problem right now that most of us have is isolation.
Yep.
And the only cure for that is connection. That's the solution. So coaching can provide that on a whole nother level, I think.
Well, it's nice too, because everybody's willing to share.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't have to recreate the wheel. You don't have to, like, is this what you're trying to do? Like, I can help you with that. Here's the steps. Here's some process. Here's some things to share. And that was always very eye-opening to me, because prior to getting to coaching and for companies that I worked with, if you did something or created it, you kept it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want anybody else to know, and that's just what's so different, is that we can all be open and share and know what's working in different areas and try things, and when you are on that small group and say, hey, I just did this and this worked really well, it's fuel. Like, oh, I'm going to try that. Oh, I could do it like this in my market.
And what if you tweaked it this way? And then we build it up even more, right? Sharing it with people. So I love it. I think from a coaching standpoint, I think it helped me also become a lifelong learner. Like I've never looked at things and always wanted to get a little bit better every day. And so like I've never was listening to podcasts. I wasn't a big reader. And now all of a sudden I'm just like, what else can I get my hands on? What else can I learn from other people? And so I think rather than get into it, I just would want everybody to know, like, I know you are a big reader, less podcasts, right?
Yeah.
I'm a podcast junkie. And I would love to share. I think we'll put together a 1-page of books and podcasts that have changed our lives, that we can share with anybody. So if that's something that you're interested in, drop a comment in the DMs, or just reach out to us. We can get that to you for any inspiration that you need.
We'd love to.
But becoming a dedication to becoming a lifelong learner, just in and of itself, will change your career.
Well, it will, and we can wrap this up. But when you're being coached, when you're becoming that lifelong learner, then you start learning to coach others.
And now you and I are both coaching.
We're coaching
other people.
But you learn how to coach other people in hard times, and realtors and business owners, and not that I'm looking to be every single person's coach, but because of what we learn in coaching, and you're out to lunch with somebody who's struggling with this, hey, I have something I can help you with that.
Yep.
Like, here's what they had me do for that, and it helped, right? So I just think it's like this gift that you receive, and then your job when you receive gifts is to give it to somebody else.
Pay it forward, right?
Pay it forward. And that's what coaching does, is it gives you so many things that you're then able to share with other people and just be that much more, of a blessing to somebody else. So we'd love to be able to share that with you guys. But what we would love to ask too is, if this has been valuable, or any of these episodes are, we would love, love, love for you to share this as well, like out with anybody that that could use it or benefit from it. That would just be super, super helpful for us, and we'd be so thankful.
Absolutely. Whether you watch it on YouTube, stream it on your favorite podcast app, whatever, it's out there, wherever you stream it. If you would share it with somebody, it would make our day. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We will be back in a week with another ingredient. See you next time.